Hello, and welcome back to the Awakening Philosophy Podcast. My name is Jed. We have been exploring what it takes to demonstrate truth. We've been talking about the stakes of a kind of battle. The stakes within our soul, the stakes within our city, and the stakes for our species within a greater cosmos. It's the same battle. A battle between a development of understanding that is necessary for the growth and development of the soul, following universal principles that are true and also reflect a higher truth in mind and self. On one side of that battle is that, on the other side is a kind of loyalty to old family clan beliefs and a perceived benefit that one thinks they have from the current structures of the old beliefs, along with a fear of development of mind. So, a loyalty to false beliefs, pathologos, developed in childhood from our family clan upbringing because of a perceived benefit, along with a fear of the development of understanding. That's too hard, that's too difficult to learn to understand something new. I'm too old, I don't want to change, that kind of crap. A fear of mind. They're attached to the state of mind associated with their old way of being, their old beliefs. They fear openness, freedom, and insight of mind. And of course, a fear of self, a fear of the freedom of being one's authentic self. So a learned fear of understanding mind and self, the very triad we are supposed to be learning how to move into and develop the excellence of, along with a perceived benefit of the way things are. So especially people who have all the money, they will try and defend the status quo. And so the question that we're asking is, well, how do we show that there is actually a truth? It's what we are saying is not a matter of opinion that can be dismissed. No, let's just keep things the way that things are. Because whatever anything you say, I can just dismiss it by saying it's your opinion. And your opinion, my opinion, who's to say, let's just give up. The way of being of the fifth hypothesis, and also the establishment Democrats. Nothing is anything, it's all relative. So by the way, I'm only saying that to prevent progress. So let's jump in. When a new idea argues that its truth overcomes those past privileges from the old way of being, the struggle becomes a life and death issue. That's the nature of human ignorance. We blindly and savagely defend our own ignorance that is the cause of our harm, individually, within our family, and within our society. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole game. Everything else is in service of or in justification of our old beliefs that we are loyal to. Despite progress being our reason for existing and being what allows us to develop and benefit. When the new idea argues that its truth overcomes past privilege, the struggle becomes a life and death issue. Behind it all is the fear of the mind. The possibility that a rational order is superior to other claims forces a re-examination of an entire culture. Now, we've been talking about fear of the mind as a fear of moving into a greater state of mind, because there is an associated state of mind with your way of being. Easy to see, just look at another country or look at another religion or look at another culture. They have a different way of being, don't they? A different state of mind that they're in. But of course you have one too. So, but here we are saying, hang on a second. Another aspect of mind that we are taught to have fear about is ousia, the very essence or nature of mind. Ousia, of course, is the capacity of mind to turn around and know itself or reflect on itself. So we will force a re-examination of our entire culture. For instance, any culture that allows the absolute worst, most harmful and ignorant sociopathic human beings to gain power and rulership over everyone else, like capitalism, like our capitalist political system, like religion, religious authorities, that has to be re-examined. We want the best to rule us. We don't want to venerate the worst of our species, obviously. But of course, we are taught to fear, or we learn to fear, mind and self-reflection. It is true that behind all this drama is a clash of ideas is the fear of mind and freedom. Further, when it's tied to awakening a new kind of thinking, we know it will arouse that fear of mind. Behind that fear is that the new forms of order and understanding demand a difficult retraining and adjustment. Right? Loyalty to ignorance, afraid of their own capacity to learn, because that's what they've learned. They've learned to give up on learning. Of course, this very learning is false, and that's what we want to do as a society. We want to say to that learning,
you can be a gooner.
You can be a gooner, but not in this way.
You know what? Suck my dick.
That's right.
Oh, very handsome and or pretty.
Thank you. Always important to remind the listener that as well. So fear of the mind, fear of freedom, and fear of understanding. The pull to oppose the new and resist change is a fundamental conservative impulse. That's what it means to be conservative. To oppose the new and resist change. As looking forward to meaningful change is an opposite movement. Therefore, one of the criticisms of the establishment left who currently live in the fifth hypothesis is they're not developing. They're trying to just maintain the status quo for their personal profit. Looking forward to meaningful change would be what a true political party would be. Of course, this is all for our soul as well. Being excited about your own meaningful change of your soul, rather than trying to find ways of justifying the ignorance that you grew up with. That's what we're here for. Now, what shows that what we are saying is true? It can be demonstrated that one is true and reflects a higher truth. And when this can be done, the issue becomes critical. In this struggle over truth, it becomes necessary to say which of these comes closest to revealing and making intelligible. How can we reveal the truth and allow people to understand it for themselves? The truth of the idea is being contested. When one can confirm what we have explored through a process of A, reasoning through words, and B, appealing to the kind of experience that comes along with an encounter of intelligence. So there we go. There's our demonstration of truth, or principle for truth. Has to be able to be reasoned through words, and also has to relate to, or point to, or reflect the highest experience that we've had, or that we can have. Right, so if you want to learn skateboarding, if you want to show who's the best skateboarder, well, Tony Hawk did a 900, but we're going to ignore that great experience. So I can say my friend Bill, who can do a kickflip, is the greatest skateboarder. No. If we want to demonstrate what is the greatest or what is truth, we can't ignore the greatest experiences of intelligence. In fact, we have to point specifically to them. Who has done the best skateboarding move? When reasoning brings with it a quietness of mind and one can drop away everything to see what sees, It is then that sight opens itself up to itself, the self. Understanding, reasoning through words, direct experience of mind, the direct encounter with intelligence, and putting the two together, a quietness of mind that allows the sight itself that you've been seeing through or using to see itself, to discover the highest source, the cause, and our goal, the self. What opposes this? The literalists, the barbarians, those who take their fairy tales literally. Right? The Christians that say, oh, well, the Bible says you can't. No, they don't do the shellfish one. In Leviticus, it says that you will go to hell if you eat shellfish, or if you have a mixed polyester blend of clothing. No, I'm going to ignore that and focus on the stuff I'm really curious about, homosexuality. It also says being gay is bad. So, literally it has to be true. Or there's stories about heaven is an actual place in the clouds. It's not a analogy for a state of mind. Now that's important analogy. Behind the fear of mind lies another threat that periodically sweeps across the land, bringing death and destruction along with it. So, we are looking for patterns. Within humanity, there is a repeating cycle of death and destruction that sweeps across our lands. And that's when the literalists gain power. People who do not reflect on their beliefs, do not seek higher principles of truth, and just look for justifications to inflict the same disgusting injustice they suffered on others. How can you show that murdering that child helps them learn or helps humanity get better? I don't have to. I take my religious textbook literally. It says kill all the non-Jews. It says kill all the non-Muslims. It says kill all the non-Protestants or kill all the non-Scientologists. So that's what I'll do because I'm an idiot. They cannot stand higher truths beyond their reach because that would require openness and curiosity and wondering, states of mind that they have been taught to fear from their upbringing, nor do they have any desire to make up for their shortcomings. I don't want to know and I don't care. They believe they already have the truth and will destroy whatever stands in their way, the Dunning-Kruger effect. In the worst possible way. When they seize control of any of these divisions, they reduce it to what they can understand and burn the rest. I'm confused, and instead of being curious and open, the same way as we've been reading this very text, hopefully there's been a lot of things to come up to confuse us. We are okay with that. We are excited about that. We can carry it as a question. To carry a question is to be on a quest. That's the whole point. You don't want, I was going to say M. Night Shyamalan. Who's the other guy? He's my favorite director. Pause. You don't want Christopher Nolan to feed you the answers. You want him to give you puzzles. You don't want the maker of Resident Evil or Silent Hill, those are my favorite games, to give you the puzzles or solve the puzzles for you. They want to give you the puzzles to allow you to play the game. So, I don't know, but I'm okay with not knowing. Socrates calls that being stung. That is a philosophical state of mind. In opposition to believers who think that acting or cosplaying like you know already is the mark of knowing. And of course, the way that they show that they are a knower within belief is to inflict suffering on others. Thus, when they gain power, death and destruction sweep across the land. Isn't it interesting? We can understand why there is death and destruction in humanity. We can understand why it periodically surfaces. We can understand its root cause. we can understand that that root cause is solvable. We can understand that our very purpose for living as human beings is to understand that root cause and solve it within ourselves. Then we can understand how we can demonstrate the truth that will allow that progression and development of humanity. Did I mention this book is a goddamn banger?
Win, 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 win.
It's a win.
I love this guy.
That's why you love this guy.
You have the brain of a child if you think that.
And if you don't think that, you have a brain of a child.
That one's perfect and exactly the case.
I thought so. So they, instead of being curious and open, they destroy whatever stands in their way. They seize control of any of the divisions and reduce it to what they can understand and burn the rest. They have been exposed only to the drama of belief and the fear and perils of non-belief. They cannot stand to view what they take as true. And subject to analysis, there's our fear of self-reflection. See, so this would be a true justice system. Those who are most ignorant and therefore doing injustice in the world, instead of just beating them or abusing them or fining them or putting them in prison cells or exploiting them for slave labor, a just society, a rational society, would create the conditions for self-reflection, which would be a terrible punishment until it isn't. Notice, we self-reflect for fun. It's the best thing to do for the best people. Learning is great. Only those who have learnt to fear their own learning and development would, well, dislike learning, dislike self-reflection, not want to reflect on their ignorance they take as true. It's only a punishment to people who are bad. Therefore, one way of being in society, not a two-tiered system. The evil, the woke, the criminals, the infidels, the goyim, any of that shit that villainizes and divides humanity up, they have to go in prisons. We get to torture and abuse them because they were born into poverty or whatever. That's our current justice system. Stupid, irrational, harmful, anti-human. One way of being, this. Enjoying self-reflection on the things we take as true about self and reality and goodness and justice, and reflecting on them to see whether they are true. As the Oracle says,
There's only two options at the end of an argument. One, you're wrong, but now you always get to be right about that topic going forward, so you get to learn something, which is always a plus. Or two, you're right and you get to revel in being right. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win.
so you either purify yourself from what is false and harmful, therefore restorative justice, or removing problems that cause injustice within the world, or you get to develop your insight into truth and test your ability to communicate it. That's dialectic. The conversations are a way of testing your vision, testing your understanding, and testing your ability to function or communicate it. Not debate, or it's trying to defeat your opponent to justify the fucking ignorance you already carry. A goddamn debate is so fucking stupid. Just the waste of human life. That's what pisses me off. You've got human life, and you're lucky enough to have a conversation with another human being. And you sit down to have one, and instead of testing your understanding and vision, some people feel like the whole purpose of conversation is to fucking block life, block conversation, block learning, in order to win the argument, to justify the whatever you already believe. No learning, no developing, just owning someone. Oh, look how smug I am. I haven't learned anything, my life hasn't got better, I'm still in the shithole cycle of problems I've always been in. But look how smug I am about it. It's so stupid to me. Doesn't help that as a musician, those are the two sorts of people that you come across. I came across both last night, playing music. One sort of person, smug, ignorant, blocked, could see me playing music, and instead of being curious or enjoying it, projected his very block onto me. You stink, you suck, you need to fix this and you need to fix that. Lying, knowingly lying. Wasn't able to get curious about music, wasn't able to reflect on his own problems, stayed stuck in the same blocks he is stuck in. The only thing he got out of that interaction is a sense of false certainty in his ignorance. What's happening on my phone? The other sort of person just texted me. Open, curious, interested. Hey, even better, can find something specific about music to get open and curious about and wonder if it reflects a higher truth. That's the standard that we are seeing here. Not only is true, but reflects a higher truth. If there is a principle of order and harmony within music, does it reflect a higher truth within reality in our soul? So it's either open or closed. Those are the two basic sorts of people that I encounter as a musician. The closed people suck. Always. Always. There's nothing you can do, because even if you say, hey, by the way, that's an interesting state of mind, what do you think about that? Then they just get belligerent and angry and violent. What? Let me smash your guitar. Let me find people to gang up with you. Let me, etc., etc. Gang up against you. Mocking, threatening, ganging up, excommunication, and murder. The stages of progression of what happens when you challenge their ignorant state of being, state of mind and way of being. Just lose-lose, doesn't help anything. And they don't give me any money, so they're stingy. So, that's that way of being. No, that's two ways of being. Open, curious, seeking truth, development that benefit, and those that stay stuck in their ignorance. Hey, it's likely that way of being has kept him stuck in his musical blocks his whole life. So that's why I get pissed off about debate. So stupid. Why? Why? A little endorphin burst when you can pretend to be a knower and gain 4 seconds of temporary alleviation from your own suffering by trying to be the knower, but you're only pretending to be a knower. All you're doing is inflicting the same bullshit that was inflicted on you to get you stuck. That's fucked. That's Epstein shit. That's billionaire shit. That's capitalist politics shit. That's religious authority shit. Inflicting the same ignorance, harm, and injustice to defend your own beliefs and way of being on others the same way it was inflicted on you, or a similar way as it was inflicted on you. So that's the nature of human problems right there. Interesting? I think it's interesting. What does old mate from He's sending me some names of other musicians that he knows. Okay. Cool. Okay, so they've only been exposed to that drama. See, that's the difficulty. When they're in that state of mind, what do? Ask them questions to get out of it. Otherwise, say, hey, by the way, that's not a nice thing to say. Oh, fuck you, I'm gonna beat you up. Because that's the drama, because that's what their parents said. They've only been exposed to that drama of their belief and fear of the perils of non-belief. Encouraging them to step out might trigger that fear that they learnt. They cannot stand to view what they take as true and subject to analysis. They hold fast to their literal reading that supports their belief. Yet these beliefs are claims that need to be examined. There's our one standard of society and justice. Examining the beliefs you carry is the best fucking thing in the world for the best people. It's also the worst and most scary for the worst people. So there's your punishment of criminals. But it's not punishment, is it? It's justice. Surely there is only one standard, there we go, only one standard, to examine the truth of any spiritual and philosophical truth. Whatever claim is being made needs to be demonstrated by a reasoned reflection and confirmed in experience by those whose primary interest is the love of wisdom, balanced by their experience of the intelligence. So there's our standard. What makes something true? Reasoned. Logos, reasoning. Reason what? Reason reflection. Logos and ousia. But it has to also be confirmed in your experience. But those who are scammers or liars, again, belief-based thinkers who want to maintain that system of belief that they can manipulate others through for profit, for power, religion, modern politics, and capitalism. They are not actual good faith people. They are debate bros, debate perverts. Do we have a sound drop for debate perverts? If you don't
know, now you know.
I think we do. Debate perverts.
Our entire, government and financial system is run by actual demons. Demonic eyes wide shut demonry.
Yes, but we're talking about how they do
debate weirdo.
Debate weirdo.
Debate dweeb.
Debate dweeb.
Debate weirdo. Debate dweeb.
And to them we say,
this is nasty ass pizza. People can change for the better.
Eat a nasty ass pizza and change for the better. Right?
Can I do my plugs now? I'm trying to do comedy career.
No plugs. No plugs right now. Plugs at the end. So, an actual desire for wisdom has to be the motivation. And of course, those with a greater experience of the intelligence can, better confirm, better reason, better reflect with reasoning. So that's part of our goal, to know mind. Right? Open to everyone, but some people do it and some people don't. Anyone can be a mechanic, but that doesn't make anyone a mechanic. Your experience of being able to fix engines or make ideal engines, just as our experience of intelligence, along with reasoned reflection, is wisdom. So there we go. There's our, the title of my stream today was, How do we demonstrate truth? Reasoned reflection confirmed in experience by those who are genuine, or their primary interest is not debate bros and love of opinion, philodoxia, but dialectic and love of wisdom. Balanced, of course, by our experience of the intelligence. And the other part of the heading today was verse interpretation. It's those who fear the mind, the literalist, those that sweep death and destruction across the land because they don't want to reflect on what they take as true. They reduce everything to their own narrow perspective and burn the rest. That's interpretation. Interpret everything according to their own ignorance versus reasoned reflection confirmed in experience. That's where we are. Before we keep reading, let's see if this works today. We've been talking about the development of reasoned reflection and experience through the hypotheses of Parmenides and the oxherding pictures of Buddhism. But within the oxherding pictures, we saw that each of them has a picture, a poem, and a description. And the last line of that description is an anticipation of the next stage. But we also saw that both the oxherding pictures are about states of mind as we progress, whereas the hypotheses of Parmenides is the understanding or the pure dialectic of that development. And so the last line of the oxherding pictures have things like the third oxherding picture, when you have a glimpse of the ox. The last line is also a glimpse of a higher state of that intelligence that we have just talked about. We need to balance our love of wisdom with that experience. Your first glimpse of an intelligence that's ousia or non-physical is the third oxherding picture. And it finishes with, what kind of artist could capture the stately horns and the mighty whatever, the mighty, I'll bring it up. I'll just read it. What splendid head, excuse me. What a splendid head and what stately horns, but what artist could portray them? And we talked about how that could go one of two ways. What artist could portray that? In other words, no artist could portray that. There is no way of understanding or developing further understanding and development of that glimpse because it's completely profound and amazing and mind-blowing, and I can't understand it, therefore no one can understand it. Right? Belief, ignorance. But that's that negative state of mind, that person who's a dick to play music for. You don't really play music for that person, you get the fuck away from that person. Closed-minded. What artist? None. See, the same sentence could mean what kind of artist? What artist could portray that? Or A, actually asking that question genuinely. I wonder what kind of artistry I would need to portray that. What kind of an artist I would have to be. There's our open curious. Those are the two ways of being. Interpretation, to project your own ignorant false beliefs, what you think you know, without ever reflecting on where you learnt that belief to begin with. This is your first glimpse. What makes you so sure that you can't understand it? Why are you so confident about something you know nothing about? Belief. Or openness, curiosity, wonder. The good state of mind. Because that wonder allows you to seek and follow, the Logos. and reflect, ousia. Now, in the hypotheses, there is a similar way of taking each of them in those two ways as well. For example, we've seen that the first hypothesis, the one self, is the truth, is our goal, is the source, is the ultimate reality, the ultimate enlightenment. Everything else is not true. Even that experience of pure intelligence is the second oxiding picture. Sorry, the eighth oxiding picture, the second hypothesis. Pure being. Itself a shadow or reflection of the self. Understanding is the third. It's not the ultimate. It's the functioning or shadow of the second. So notice, it diminishes, unfolds. Now that 3, 2, 1 is the triad or threesome of self we've been talking about. Human problems begin in the fourth, belief, which is the appearance of a oneness in our physical world, singing Kumbaya with a group of people together in church or whatever. Fascism, the capitalist kings and clergy, the rightward conservatism, a kind of false appearance. So in one sense, it's harmful. It's the pathologos, it's belief. The establishment left is materialism or strict dualism. There is no mind. There is a disconnection between mind or self or the one and you. There is no principles, says the establishment left. Just keep business ticking along as usual, despite how many people are being murdered, exploited, abused, and our whole planet is being destroyed to service the billionaires becoming trillionaires. Disgusting. Absolute fucking disgusting. That's the fifth hypothesis. So while we've been saying wisdom has to motivate our search for truth, that's these two together, the experience of mind or being in the second, and understanding. Therefore, that's also our standard of truth. Everything that we've been saying in this stream and in this episode as well can be demonstrated with understanding, reasoning through words. What? And verified in experience, especially that highest experience of intelligence. So seeking wisdom, demonstrating it with reasoned reflection, verified in experience as our standard of truth. Ignorance is a fear of that learning of understanding, that higher state of mind, or the freedom of the self which you can get as a result, and a loyalty to our old beliefs, or a rejection of even that process of learning. The right wing and the left wing. Ignorance. So that's the negative, or one way of understanding these hypotheses. But then we have to ask the question, why do they exist? How can this be a just world if even wisdom isn't the truth? And it gives rise to ignorance. Its shadows, distorted shadow gives rise to ignorance and all of the suffering we see every day on this planet. How can that be just? If all of these are wrong, because the one self is the truth. Well, we said that this unfolding is a kind of reflection or analogy. Analogy is a likeness. As a king is to his subjects, so too is a shepherd like that to his sheep. Not the same, but like. Therefore, if reflection through analogy is the source of creation, and of course analogy is how we return through reason, we can see that, hang on a second, how do we apply that analogy to, well, learn about the truth? For example, the second hypothesis is, what if the one exists? Therefore, the highest experience of what exists in the highest possible way. Second hypothesis. But the self doesn't exist in that way. It does exist, but not in that way. Not in any kind of way that anything else has ever existed. So one way of talking about it in the first hypothesis of Parmenides is the one is, or the one self is, the self is, one and self, the same idea, but doesn't exist. In that way. So it's super important that we go through the doorway of mind before reaching the self, because this gives us everything about existence. It's all of time, so all time out of time. It's the whole of all parts. It's the same of all difference. It's out of time that includes all in time. So everything that can and will happen in evolution or in the physical world or in growth or experience is experienced all at once, making it the paradigm, the model. Therefore, if we are learning about the self from our movement, this gives us everything in existence. So we can say that's a reflection of the self. So the self exists in some way, but it also, because analogy isn't the same. So if you talk to a dumb person and you say, hey, here's an analogy, having your cake and eating it too. And they'll say, cake? I love cake. I want to have a cake and eat it because it's tasty. No. It's like it. There is some the same, but some different. And what we do is we move from the literal, there's our literalism that causes belief to be stuck in ignorance, savage, barbarians, taking mythology literally, taking their Bible literally. No, it's not literally eating a cake, you idiot.
Disgusting. I'm so disgusted.
We're so disgusted. It's moving from the literal to the higher idea, the principle or the relationship that can be applied to a higher level. So that also happens in our highest development. We experience everything that exists. It's not literally the self. It's everything that can exist in experience, which is an analogy or an analogical reflection of the self. It's not actually cake when you say have your cake and eat it too. But it is something similar to eating cake. Hey, it's saying having your cake and eating it too is a analogy about having something that's desirable, but also wanting to use it up. So the self that we are learning about by going through these hypotheses on our return to self tells us something about the self existing, but not like anything else that exists. Like what else that exists? Everything! Because this is everything. It's the paradigm. That's why it's the penultimate experience of enlightenment. And some spiritual traditions are convinced it's the last stage, because it is everything. You can't have anything higher, like Taoists. But it's the 8th oxiding picture, not the 9th and 10th. It's a second hypothesis. So we can learn, this is the positive way, like the end of the oxiding picture. What artist could possibly portray this experience? In a way of gaining insight about the fourth oxiding picture, where you actually learn to develop that artistry through midwifery. So we're having an experience of everything all at once to learn about the self analogically. So the self therefore exists, but not like this. It's an analogy. In fact, this experience gives you everything about existence. So you've got everything all that, you've got all of the things that you can say the self isn't. So that's why they call it the Deus Negativa. The Deus, or God, that can only be described in negatives. Because all of these things here is you're saying it's not, doesn't apply, it's negative. But it's still not it, but that's not, it's not negating it. It's saying it's like it. That's analogy. So you're seeing existence to learn this is the highest thing of existence, to know that the self is existence in the highest way. That's reflection. You're looking at it in a mirror. So it exists in a way that transcends even its reflection. Remember, when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's not a one-to-one reflection. You lose intelligence, will, thoughts in the mirror. It doesn't have all those things. And it's distorted in some way. Your left hand is your right hand. So too for this. Analogy. So in one way, it's bad if you think that this is the self and you get stuck there. So that's the negative way of reading it, just like there's a positive and negative way of reading the last line of the oxiding pictures. But there's a positive so long as you have realized that we think through analogy. We develop through analogy. Analogy means another logos. To move from the logos of the fifth to another logos, the fourth. To move to another logos. This is the movement we are supposed to be making as human beings. From belief or pathologos to understanding or logos. To another logos. Meaning, there are principles in belief in the pathologos that we can take analogously to learn about the truth of self. Hey, we were convinced about our pathologos self-identity because of some experience of beauty, of strength, knowingness, love, beauty, love, intelligence, of a parental figure cosplaying those things. Therefore, the reflection of the actual self is being, which is actually the truth of justice and beauty. So we've got a pathologos distorted version of reality. Hey, when you've got your pathologos, you're bound to a kind of destiny that we call fate. You are stuck in a repeating cycle of problems you cannot escape for until you wake up to the logos and the pathologos. Because the pathologos is an analogical reflection of the logos. Keeping you stuck in a problem, hey, if you follow the logos, you will reach your highest destiny, your fulfillment, because that's what understanding is, the logos. So the same principles in a likeness. So one way of understanding belief is it's bad and it's the cause of human suffering and death and destruction and ignorance and savagery. Absolutely. But the positive way of looking at it is analogically as a message about understanding. The pathologos is a message about the logos. And ultimately a message about the self. So if you take the pathologos false belief about yourself as literal, there's our literalism of belief, then you will be sad.
I'm eating the testicles of this bull, and I'm eating it raw.
You'll eat bull testicles your whole life, and we'll feel sad for you.
Like literally, suck my dick, dude.
Everything this guy does is perfect and beautiful. And he's handsome. I said it.
Thank you, I am handsome.
No, you're not the one that's mentally unwell. You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
And crossing into new boundaries. So if you take it literally, you're in your problem. If you take it analogically, you see that this idea of the self is an analogical message about the actual self. As your belief about self, your pathologos, ties you to a kind of fake destiny called fate. The actual self, if you seek to follow and be ruled by the self, seek the logos of self, the self logos, you will be able to reach your actual highest purpose or destiny. It's a message, it's not literal, it's like. So, the experience of the second is an analogy about the first. It exists, but not in this way. Understanding, to be able to benefit providentially anyone you talk to as a dialectician, with the art of the logos, not debate, dialectic. To help someone, a genuine person seeking truth or wisdom, help them reason through wherever they're at, whatever hypothesis they're at, whatever puzzle they're on, in a way that benefits them, moves them up these hypotheses. Now notice, that's still functioning through time. Time is a reflection of the self. So again, the kind of providence through the dialectic through time, tells us about the providential nature, the intelligent and caring nature, the providential nature, the friendly, caring nature of the self. That's not through time. That's transcendent. In other words, each of these stages, even the good, the better ones, like the second and third, is an analogical reflection of the self. The last one, materialism or strict dualism. People who say just give up, don't read. 15% of the people who've been through this channel, they find a way of saying give up on what you're doing. That's their own problem. That's that closed-minded. The B listeners of music. Not the A, open, curious, wondering about music and inspired by music, happy about music. No. They are, oh, that's dumb, you need to do that better, that's wrong. They just project their own ignorance and disgusting beliefs. Closed-minded. Half of the people who come through this stream. Fortunately, they only stay for a little bit, or unfortunately, for their souls. What can that tell us about the self? In a positive way. Now, negatively, when you're in it. But here's the thing about the hypotheses. Your way of moving out of it is through analogy, to jump to another logos. What does that mean? That means when you can see how it's a message, an analogical reflection or an analogical message or a reflected message about the self, you are free from it. Just as when you're freeing yourself from your problems, when you understand the purpose of the repeating divisions or problems in your life, you become free of it because you see the purpose. Hey, the reason why you have this kind of relationship over and over again, or this self-fulfilling fate, negative self-fulfilling prophecy over and over again. It's not literal. Whenever I go for this goal, I think I'm rubbish and I'm no good and whatever. I'm a bad noodle. You're not literally a bad noodle. That's literalism. It's an analogy. That voice that says you're a bad noodle isn't true, but it has a purpose to tell you something about the truth. That voice reflects a voice or a belief that you're still carrying from childhood that you think is true. In other words, each of the aspects of your drama is understandable, is rational. It's not literal. In other words, if you have this idea of self, you will have this certain state of mind that will function in a certain way that will lead to a certain conclusion or failure. It's a message about the self by showing you what it isn't. You're not this self. If you do think you're this self, this is what happens. That's how you free yourself from human problems. By looking at all of your problems rationally, reasoned reflection through words, analogically. It's showing you what you ain't. Why? Because that gives you something to do. If it just told you the truth, there'd be nothing for you to do. It tells you what you're not. So you can flip it, solve the puzzle. If I have this idea of self, then this follows. Therefore, I can't be that self because it leads to failure. Okay? So that's how we go through philosophical midwifery, the dialectic applied to removing human problems. That also applies for our development through the hypotheses. In other words, this is the greatest experience of self as pure mind, or usia, mind turning around to know itself. But that's not the self. See, same thing. It's showing you what you ain't. Looking yourself in the mirror. Oh, wow, I'm learning a lot about myself, but it's not me. Seeing that, understanding that, so understanding that position, or reading the second hypothesis of Parmenides, we have a Balboa translation, thankfully, meaning we can actually read the words for the first time since, 2,000 years? But not just understanding it, understanding that level, understanding that hypothesis, but puzzling about it. How can this be an analogical reflection of the higher? That frees you from that position. Otherwise, you'll have that thing that some philosophers joke about. Oh, the great tragedy of being stuck in bliss. Because it is stuck. It's not the self. Even though it's the paradigm of reality and its bliss and its beauty itself, etc. Okay, so we're going all the way down to this fifth one, the trick dualism. There is no, there might be some intelligence or some mind or some God, or maybe there isn't, but whatever it is, it has nothing to do with us. We can't know the meaning of life. We can't know everything all at once. We can't know the source of reality. We can't know the purpose for our evolution. We can't know the reason for our reincarnations. We are bad noodles and small beans. To that we say,
Kant would say some fucking
fucking bullshit. That sounds like you listen to Kant.
You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now?
And Emma is being a bit harsh on you.
These absolute dullards, borderline chimps, who want to kiss a fox.
Who want to kiss a fox.
It's better to come in the sink than to sink in the cum.
Also another good point, I suppose, if you think about it. So, don't sink in the... Okay, I'm going to give up on that. Don't take this one negatively. In other words, don't stay stuck in that position because, like an establishment Democrat or it's all relative, don't stay stuck down here, giving up on truth and learning and development. Don't have a loser mentality for losers, but recognize that position and wonder about it. Ideally, master it. There's already the fifth hypothesis of Parmenides you can read. But hey, what can we learn about the self? By the way, if the one self transcends everything as the source of truth, first cause, and the ultimate goal for our learning, first and final cause, and it transcends experience, so it is in a way that doesn't exist, because this is experience, it has to stand apart in a transcendent way. Therefore, the strict dualism that's applied negatively by thinking there's no connection between our soul and mind or self is an analogical expression through human thought, through states of being, through different cultures, different groups like the establishment left, like modern academia, through people you might meet on the street, through, hey, these people can come to power, through epochs or ages, all of its expression through human functioning forms individually or societally is a lesson when taken analogously. It's not that we have no relationship to truth or self. We have no relationship to, as the negative version, no relationship to understanding or principles, no connection to being or mind, and no connection to the ultimate highest state of God or self. That's the literalism of human problems. Literalism, taking that hypothesis literally, which is the cause of our interpretation, which is the functioning of human problems, that leads to our death and destruction and suffering and misery. That's the cause of human problems. To take your hypothesis position literally, that will allow you to function through debate or interpretation to prove your literalism. I already know everything, I'm so smart. Causing your problems, because those problems are there to be solved analogously. So the solving of problems is to take that functioning analogously, which is the opposite to literalism. So how do we take that position of the establishment left, the little bitches of the fascists, how do we take it analogously? It's not that there is no principles of truth and understanding and no objective principles of justice that we must demand for all politicians. Currently, hey, we just hope that this politician is not a dick, but they're all fucking dicks because they're all in their pathologos. We need to have an established system of universal principles that it doesn't matter your personality or your opinions or your character. You just do your job. When you fix an engine, you just fix the engine. Why the fuck do we not demand these universal principles and standards for anyone who's in politics? Because we take the position of these ignorant people, there is no truth, it's all just belief and perspective and opinion, literally. It's not literally. If you take it literally, you have the problems that we see in our world. The left are not standing up to fascism, capitalism, the Epstein class, perpetual war and suffering to create vulnerable people so they can be exploited by the sadists of the Epstein class, by the fourth hypothesis people who are in their problems because they take their position literally. That's the That's the nature of human conflict that we're in our world. But how do we take it analogously? Hang on a second. It's not that there is no principles of understanding and truth. That's not the strict dualism. The strict dualism, how do we take it analogously? We apply it to the one self. Just as, how do we look at the experience of bliss, of being, of this experience of enlightenment? How do we take that analogously? We apply it to the one self. Therefore, we better read the first hypothesis of Parmenides, because that's the standard that everything points to as its purpose or destiny, and that's the source of all of its reflections and creation. That's what we're here to learn about. By the way, we learn this. That's the use of the logos. Everything we've just said is using reasoning to look at analogy and understand problems. And we can verify, so that all we've just gone through is a reasoned reflection through words. Right? Remember what we had said? How do we prove something is true? Reasoned reflection. Or earlier it said reasoned reflection through words. Process of reasoning through words. But also we have to confirm it in experience. How do you confirm everything we've just said about all problems taking your hypothesis stage literally and solved by taking it analogically, by realizing it's not the same but like the one self as our purpose of learning? How do we prove that in experience? Easy. Fourth hypothesis. The process of philosophical midwifery that you have to go through, even to be open and listening, to be able to listen to what we just reasoned through. In the third hypothesis, logos, you have to be free enough from your pathologos, meaning you've had an experience of living your life with a problem, death and destruction, or suffering, or fate, or failure. There's the conclusion that forced you into midwifery. You've reflected on how there was interpretation. You are projecting or not responding to what was there. And that has its cause, a certain state of mind you were in. And you realize that that whole thing was a message about yourself. So there's our dialectic. There was a false definition about the self, causing its false functioning or demonstration as a state of mind, causing its divisions not through, by the way, not through interpretation, so there was a false image of self, a false state of mind, causing your interpretation, leading to the conclusion, failure. Going through the philosophical midwifery process, you reason through this dialectic, guided by a dialectician or midwife, to realize this. To realize that it was a message about the self expressed negatively as a message about the, so this is the dialectic, if it isn't, the self that isn't, but the dialectic has two parts, the self that is. So therefore you can learn By addressing what you took literally, you are developing your own understanding and experience of the true self. Preparing yourself for the highest state of mind itself. Through your functioning or divisions in every area, dividing into every area, understanding. Bringing your conclusion, your highest purpose or destiny. Let's say purpose. Or success. Therefore, anyone who's gone through philosophical midwifery has a confirmation in experience of what we've reasoned through to show that human problems is taking human experiences literally and not analogically. Analogically. So literally because you think you know about the self, but not analogically with reference to the one self. And once you've seen this, you've seen your problems are not literal, but it happens when you take the negative thoughts, the negative images, the voices of parental figures or family figures from your past, the false images of beauty and justice. If you take them literally, you have your problems. If you reason through them, and you reason through them by reflecting on them analogically, not as though that drama was real, but a message about your interpretation from a negative state of mind as a message about the self, you can become free of it, and you at the same time learn that process of having a success in midwifery through developing an understanding which allows you to be freed up to greater states of clarity and purity of mind, is all a message about the one self. Because the maximization or the excellence of understanding is the third hypothesis. The excellence of the state of mind is the second. And we just said all of those are themselves analogical reflections of the first. Therefore, philosophical midwifery, or the addressing of human problems in belief, is a message about the development to the self. Analogically. So just as your process of removing your false beliefs, free yourself from this, to develop this, even this is an analogical movement. Because those are the hypotheses. So, our question is, how then do we take the fifth? If we find ourselves thinking there is no truth, like some of the people who rock up to the stream, you just give up on your reading. There is no truth. Everything is opinion, and my opinions are right. And if you don't agree, I will get pissed at you. Right-wing bullshit. Or snowflake bullshit. How do we free ourselves from that position? Well, it's not. What does strict dualism say? There is a line here you can't cross. There is no understanding, there is no mind or truth or being or principles of justice, and there is no purpose or goal or self. There is no highest experience of God that you can reach. That's literally the position. Taking it literally will keep you stuck in ignorance. Taking it analogically is, hey, how does that tell us something about the self? Hang on a second. Does the one self stand transcendently above everything that exists? So no matter what happens in our experience of wisdom, or how well we're doing with understanding, or how ignorant people are in their beliefs, or how closed-minded they are in their strict dualism. It doesn't matter, because the self transcends all of it. It's always there, it's always present, it's what's seeing. It's attention or sight itself that can have attention or sight on those things. Therefore, the message we get from people or cultures being stuck in the fifth is an analogical message about the self being transcendent in a positive way as the cause and goal. See? So when you understand the position you're in, I'm an atheist, or I'm a materialist, or I think there is no purpose, or I think everything is just chemicals squirting in our brain. Understand your position. Read the fifth hypothesis of Parmenides, which is a purely rational breakdown using the self-logos terms, whole and part, same and different, how it relates to beauty and justice and truth. Just purely rational. Understand your position and understand its purpose within a just universe. If there was not a purpose to this, then why the fuck would it exist? Just keeping people stuck, keeping people in suffering, keeping the establishment left in existence to keep the systems of the Epstein class in power. That sounds fucked. There has to be a justice or a reason for it. That's analogy. That's what we awaken. That's how we think. Analogy. How does, number one, understand this position, or, like in midwifery, understand the problems that happen if you take it literally and apply it analogically to the one self to see its purpose. So it's not that, so understand what you're doing to keep yourself stuck in your problems, taking it literally. It's not that understanding being and oneself are transcendent in a way you can't reach. It's that the one self transcends even being. If being is the greatest experience, the one self transcends it in that it's not an experience, it's what has experience. Therefore, even the position of the ignorance of the fifth can teach us something about the nature of the self. That is, that it will transcend or be apart from or be different from everything else you've ever experienced, either in wisdom here, second and third, or ignorance in the fourth and fifth. Either in wisdom of these two, or human ignorance in these two. Just as when we read that last line of the ox herding pictures, what possible artist could portray the stately horns and the mighty snout? What was it? I might as well bring it up so you can see. Where is it? Here we go. What? There stands the ox. Where could he hide? That splendid head. Those stately horns. What artist could portray them? What's happening with my Bluetooth is off. See, taking that literally, no artist could portray them. Or taking it analogically, I wonder what kind of different, same but different, same experience, different artistry. That's analogy. A king isn't the same as a shepherd. or a shepherd isn't the same as a king. They are same and different. Likeness. The principle of likeness underlies all creation and our return through analogy. So, hey, that musician is unblocked in a way that I am blocked. That's bad. Is taking your state of mind literally. Or that's, I wonder what kind of new kind of artist could portray music that beautifully analogically. So that person I saw yesterday was quite obviously a gross person. His clothes were gross, his way of being was gross, his habits were gross. The second person was much better. Open, curious, generous, fun, talking with strangers. The first person was the exact opposite of all of those good qualities. That's the two differences. Literally and analogically. Analogically is open, curious. Oh, that's different. I can't play music. I wonder what kind of an artist I would be to be able to portray that beauty that I am seeing. That's a third ox-herding picture movement. Socrates said that in the book that we're reading. He said, I saw musicians and I wondered what kind of a logos underlies even this beauty of harmony that I'm seeing in music. To look at your whole world analogically, therefore, is a kind of message or method or yoga that we can carry with us. Because to take it analogously means, how can I be like, let's take this for an example. Like the same experience of this ox, enlightenment, mind, whatever it was that I experienced, insight. Like it, but different. In a way that I could portray them. That's the movement to the fourth. Catching the ox, having success in the fifth, writing, getting that mastery. Hey, you've reached the sixth. Taking the question or puzzle, not literally, no artist could portray that. I've never seen an artist I've never seen a philosopher in my life. No one in my family, no one on TV, no one in my friend circle is able to put into words this enlightenment experience I've had a glimpse of through mushrooms, through dancing, through meditation, through breath work, or through a dream, or just as a gift. Therefore, what? Literally, no one can do it. Analogically, I wonder what it would be like. Openness, curiosity, wonder, on a quest. That's the ideal state of mind for self-development. Literally, bad. Analogically, good. You can take that with you anywhere. So, allowing your movement through the ox. Hey, all of these ox-herding pictures. Let's look at the next one. Catching the ox. As you try to master this higher state of mind, you notice that your mind tries to get back into its old habits. It yearns for the old sweet-scented grasses of your old beliefs, your old states of mind. It's still stubborn and unbridled. You have to use the whip to tame it. You have to do something. You have to engage in philosophical midwifery to break its old habits. The poem. He must tightly grasp the rope and not let it go. But for the ox, it still has unhealthy tendencies. Even while he tugs at it by the nose, it might well turn towards its old haunts. There you go. Last sentence. Even while you do the midwifery dream analysis, your mind, your way of being, still goes towards its old haunts. Take that literally. I guess I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do. Even when I do my best with midwifery, I try and seek my highest goals with excellence, and I try and listen to my dreams, I still have these problems. Take it analogically. I wonder what it would be like to be like it, still do those processes, maybe even still have some problems, but different. Same and different, like it. to have some successes, actually start to catch that ox. Now you're in the fifth, taming the ox. You have to hold the nose rope tight and not allow the ox to roam, lest it go off to its muddy haunts. It should stray, but properly tended, it becomes clean and gentle. There you go, you're having some success. By the way, untethered, could it willingly follow its master? Literally, I can't. I just said I have to hold it tight by the nose. If I don't stay strict to my dream analysis and midwifery and reading and tuning into this stream.
It's a guy whose head appears to be on backwards and then half
And a
lady.
half lady. Because this dream is the best.
My head is quite large and filled with secrets.
Because our heads are large and full of secrets. Then it will go off to its old muddy haunts. Therefore, I can't be completely free of the method. There's no end. Or analogically, what would it be like for it to be untethered? See? And so on for all of them. There's a literal and an analogical reading of everything, not just the ox-herding pictures, because ox-herding pictures represent categories or stages of soul development. Anything, because anything you ever experience is within one of those stages. That's what a paradigm is. Or it's within one of these hypotheses. So literally anything you experience, if it's not sight-seeing itself, so anything in experience falls in the category of the great experience of the greatest experiences of knowing and understanding, vision and dialectic, or the shitty ones of belief and strict dualism. It's everything in experience is either wisdom or wisdom or ignorance. That's what it means to be a map. But as we just said, even the greatest experience is still existence, which is not literal. If that's a Taoist, to take it literally, that must be enlightenment, that must be the self. But it's not the first. It's an analogy. The self exists, so it is, but in a way that's different. Same and different, likeness. So the one self is reality. It's not reality. Reality is experienced in being. But it's ultimate reality. Because it's the ultimate thing. It's the thing that's real. That you learn about by experiencing reality. See? But taking that experience analogically to wonder, what's that a message of? Or what's the cause? Or what's experiencing it that reflected it to tell me about it? What's looking in the mirror? So all of them. Hey, understanding, fantastic. Dialectic, great. Functioning through time as a midwife or doing dream analysis. Or helping someone reflect on their reading. What would it be to be like that, still rational, still caring, or still providential, but in a way that's not bound by whatever limitations we experience in understanding, not bound by time. Or in other words, I'm not solving that puzzle for you. How is the third hypothesis like the first, but different? Because still, when you're doing understanding, you're still in the physical world. But as we said, the fifth hypothesis, the analogical reading of that is, it's not that development is out of our reach. It's that the self is transcendent. The self stands apart from wisdom and ignorance. So it doesn't matter how you are going in your purification of ignorance or your development of wisdom, there is always a capacity to know the self in its highest excellence at any moment. Even the most ignorant can become wise in an instant. In theory, because the fifth hypothesis tells you that. So long as you take this position analogically. Same thing with belief. Belief keeps you stuck in a path of repeating failures that keeps you stuck in an inevitable conclusion of fate. Tied to your idea of the self, further entrenching your idea, like debate, further entrenching yourself in your false idea of the self. That's the fourth hypothesis. That's the definition of the pathologos and human ignorance, or the cause of human suffering, human conflict. But if we take it analogically, we can see the self is like that. If we follow the self, we are on a path that is set in the logos, that has its purpose, not fate, but destiny. That's about the self. So we spend our life reflecting on the self, learning and nurturing the true idea of the self. So it's the same principles applied analogically to a higher set of terms. That's analogy. The principles of how a shepherd treats his sheep. Remove the particulars of shepherds and sheep. Apply that principle to a higher term, the actual self, the actual truth of justice and beauty, the actual development of the logos, to reach our actual end, our purpose or the highest destiny, not fate. See? Our problems are an analogical message about the one self. So too, wisdom is an analogical message of the one self. So too, the fifth hypothesis aspect of ignorance is, see? Wherever you are, whatever ox-herding picture you're in, whatever hypothesis you're in, you can always wonder about how it is a lower analogical message and reflection about the higher, which is nothing other than dropping the particulars or literalism and wondering about how the self is like it in a higher way. To answer that question, you will only be able to get answers to how the one self is like it by reading these books. Because we're learning about the self. We're learning about the dialectic or understanding in Socrates. We're learning about the highest visions that Socrates and Jesus have. And we're learning about its cause, the one self. And we're also learning about human ignorance, belief, and materialism from this book, from the books that we read on this channel. That's why we read. Your dreams are messages to help you with that. That's why we do dream work. Your problems are an expression of living in, being in one of these hypotheses, one of these ox-herding pictures, and being stuck there because you think it's real. It's not real. It feels real. Familiar, comfortable. Everyone around you says it's real, but it's not. That's right, grow up in some crazy cult, some Mormon cult. It feels real that your underpants are magical. It feels real that you can only have sex by doing, what's it called, soaking?
This is nasty ass pizza. Calm your fucking tits.
Well, you have to calm your tits.
Be a reasonable gooner.
And be a reasonable gooner. But because it feels real that you have to do Mormon soaking, but it's not. So, how can I find A, the position I'm in, thus the necessity for the hypotheses and the oxiding pictures? So you can make intelligible or reason through words, make clear and intelligible this position you're at, and B, apply that analogically through likeness to wonder about how it's a message about the one self. Literalism versus analogy. That's the game. Or, as we read in the text, reasoning through words. There's our having the hypotheses, the oxiding pictures, and the books we read, and appealing to experience, or reasoned reflection and confirmed in experience. That's how we prove that what we said is true. By the way, if you take it literally, you're not going to be reflecting, you're not going to be reasoning. And if you're taking it literally, you are not wondering about how it relates to the highest experience of intelligence or self. Therefore, understand your position. There's your reasoning through words. That's why we have the map, hypotheses and oxiding pictures. Understand your position and wonder about how it's not literally true, but how it analogically reflects a higher principle of the one self, because that's what it's here. All of this necessarily has to be unfolding through the principle of likeness. Therefore, its purpose, if there is a just universe, is to teach you about the self. Not by direct experience, because how can you see it? Through contrast. If the one self is a pure one, how can you see all that there is to be seen inherently, the inherent intelligibility or the logos of the self? Only through contrast can you see it. By experiencing the fifth hypothesis in a negative way. There is no connection to self. Can you learn, oh, there is a connection to self, but it transcends. It's not connected to the physical world, to the world of existence. It's causal and higher and transcendent. So by experiencing transcendentness in its contrast, in its negative way, fifth hypothesis, everything is relative to opinion, there is no truth. Can you learn about the transcendent nature of self so that when sight sees itself, there's no qualities there, but you can recognize it's transcendent. You can't get that transcendence from seeing sight itself, because what are you looking at? Therefore, by contrast, through what it's not, but not just what it's not, that would just be pure suffering. Analogical reflection, can you learn about the self so that when sight does see itself, when self sees itself, you can recognize, holy crap, this transcends everything. I can stay in this state of mind. I'm not going to have to worry about falling into wisdom or ignorance anymore, because I know myself. That was the whole purpose of all of this. Likewise for the fourth hypothesis, the third hypothesis. You do the fourth and the third. I threw in a few clues about how to maybe possibilities for the analogical reflection of belief. Reflection of the self to a state of mind, functioning and conclusion. Fate. Second hypothesis. The self is participating in ousia to know itself. As a contrast, you are seeing pure existence, everything that can and will exist, the culmination of evolution. So that once you encounter something that's beyond that, imagine experiencing bliss and then no qualities. Wouldn't that feel like a diminishment? Wouldn't that freak you out? Some people say that might freak you out. Maybe. To go from bliss and everything to supposed emptiness, it's not empty. It's one. but you're understanding, you're learning by experiencing the principle analogically through contrast, allows you to learn about existence by contrasting it with existence of experience. So that when you transcend, fifth hypothesis analogy, transcend experience, you won't confuse it with emptiness or nothingness. You'll recognize, oh, this exists in a transcendent way. It exists, second hypothesis, in a transcendent way, fifth hypothesis. Notice, I'm not in the second hypothesis, I'm not in the fifth hypothesis, but by going through those stages of development and learning, I can use them analogically to the first hypothesis to see what it is that is seeing in the first hypothesis. When the one self sees the one self, can you recognize that it exists? Only if you've gone through the second. Can you recognize it exists in a transcendent way? Only if you've gone through or had some experience of or had some encounters with people in the fifth hypothesis. I know it's wrong, it's ignorance, fifth is ignorance, if you take it literally, but if you see it analogically as a message of the self, you can free yourself from being stuck in the fifth, because you're no longer taking it literally. You can understand its purpose, so it served its purpose, so there's no reason for providence to hold you there. And you can take that learning back with you in your development towards the self. Therefore, analogy is a principle for everything. So, ousia and logos, wherever you are, whatever you're experiencing, in any moment, can you ousia reflect on the logos of what you're doing and see, if I take this experience or thought or state of mind literally, I'm going to be stuck in problems. I wonder how I could therefore relate it to the one self in a transcendent way that's still transcendent but immediate, profound yet personal. How can I wonder about the one self right here and now by taking this thinking, experience, state of mind analogically? The better you nail down the hypothesis, the better you're able to nail down, in general, your category of thought or experience, or thought, yeah. The better you understand the oxiding pictures, the better you're able to nail down your experience. But wherever you're at in nailing down your thinking or experience, you can take it analogically. Take it literally, you got problems. Take it analogically. How does it analogically teach me about the one self in a transcendent way? That's analogy. What does analogy mean? Another logos. What does that mean? You can progress or develop to a higher hypothesis. Another logos. That's the principle of likeness. That's the two states of being. That's how it relates to musicians or people who listen to musicians. The literalists who are stuck in their problems, debate perverts. And the people who are open and curious are looking for analogies to see how they can relate whatever they're experiencing, even music, to the self logos. That's the two ways of being. That's how you be a dick or a good person. That's how you stay stuck in your problems, literalism. That's how you progress, analogy. Right? And don't be a
debate weirdo.
Don't be a debate weirdo.
You can be a gooner.
You can be a gooner.
Debate dweeb.
So long as you're not a debate dweeb.
You sick fuck.
You sick fuck. There we go. Wherever you are at, can you wonder about the logos? And by the way, what we've been reading, so can you wonder about so reflect on yourself, ousia, and look for the logos. What's the logos? The principles of relationships between the terms, but drop the literal terms away and apply it to the self. That's analogy. Anagogic movement, upward movement. Anagogic, upward gogic, upward analogy, upward logos. And by the way, that principle of having those two choices, reject ousia, or a shallow amount of ousia self-reflection, to take whatever you're experiencing as though it's real and literal, a shallow amount of ousia, a shallow amount of logos, or analogy, a deeper self-reflection to wonder about the one self, and a deeper amount of logos to wonder about how it reflects the logos of the one self. The literalism versus analogy. And we're seeing, hey, by the way, the drama of belief that functions through interpretation and the fearing of transcending to the self underlines all human conflict as well. That choice, two choices, literalism or analogy. Belief or understanding, true understanding. Shallow ousia and logos, or deep. Fourth hypothesis or third, because third hypothesis is understanding, fourth hypothesis is belief. By the way, that's interesting because you can apply the third hypothesis, understanding, to any hypothesis. You can take any hypotheses analogically. In fact, that analogical reflection on what you take literally is the use of understanding, and that's called midwifery. Philosophical midwifery is to reflect on your fourth hypothesis beliefs, which you've been taking literally instead of analogically. We used understanding to reflect on even our highest experience of intelligence. It exists, but not literally, because it's a message about the self that is the true existence that is in a transcendent way. So, understanding allows for the development of each. So even though it's here, it also is here, and it's also there, and there, and there, and there. It's understanding. Philodianoia, love of understanding. That's the best thing. Loving understanding. It's the ticket. The best people in the best game. By the way, if you've ever met someone who's a dick, you know, oh, I know why you're a dick. What do you mean? All you're doing is taking your hypothesis or ox-herding picture literally. Really? Yeah. I know how you can stop being a dick. Wow. How? Take it analogically. What does that mean? Drop the literal particulars of the terms, look at the relationships, and wonder how it can be applied to a higher set of terms in the one self. How does the one self relate to itself? Or how does the one self relate to the other hypotheses? So take what you took literally, drop the literal terms, find the principles of relationships, and apply it to the self. That's the movement from literalism to analogy. From loyalty to your literal beliefs to the use of understanding. To the fourth hypothesis to the third. Across this line of conflict. And as we said, the third hypothesis is used to not only remove your ignorance, but perfect your being and reach through analogy the self. Therefore, through understanding, third hypothesis, you get the self, mind, and understanding. The first hypothesis, the second, the first, the second, and the third. And by the way, why not have all three? Why not know the self, sight seeing itself? What is attention on attention, sight seeing attention itself? Know that, but also understand that it's true, it's transcendent, it's your purpose, it's the source of providence. By having experienced each of those things individually through those hypotheses, but applying it, taking that learning back with you to the self, to know the self as the source of mind and understanding, there's your threesome of self. That we get through analogy. Human problems are nothing other than taking your position literally. That's it. Therefore, we would all benefit by learning all of the possible positions so we can recognize where we are in the hypotheses and oxiding pictures. Recognize that we have our problems because we take it literally. We're stuck in the isn't, if the self isn't, our pathologos image of the self, causing our negative states of mind, causing our projection. All accusations are a confession by people who are in beliefs, people who are in their problems, especially the right-wingers, conservatives, and capitalists, and religious people. It's no coincidence that in Christian meetup groups, Grindr app crashes, same thing for conservatives. They project their, so very easy to see. Your problems are nothing other than the dialectic of the self that isn't. That's the fourth hypothesis. You take things literally. You take your position literally. So you better know the positions, get to learning them. Thankfully, we do a lot of that here. So you can recognize that you're what they are, and you're taking them literally, causing your failures because of your interpretation from your negative states of mind. That's a message about the false idea of self you don't know you have, but you're carrying anyway. And your job as a reincarnated human is to free yourself from it. At the same time, your freedom from problems is taken analogically. Therefore, free of your problems, take it analogically. How does it, everything I've learned through midwifery, freeing from the fourth hypothesis belief, from literalism, how could I take all of that difficulty that I went through analogically? Why did I go through it? Was it just to suffer? Why develop ignorance in reality only to remove it? Because it teaches you about the self that you can only learn about through contrast, because it is a transcendent state of self. So not only do you have to solve your problems by going through this, you have to reflect on those principles analogically in relation to the self. That's why you have your problems to begin with. You have problems just to free yourself? Seems redundant. Unless you are supposed to take that very process of purifying yourself from contrast, from what the self isn't, analogically, to realize you get your success, not failure, from understanding, not interpretation, from the highest state of mind, not your family states of mind, your familiar states of mind. And by the way, in the same way that this was an expression of the unsuspected self, so too this development or perfection or excellences are themselves a message about the self. So you can return to the self through this recognition, through analogy of the qualities of self that transcend even qualities. So you can know yourself. Therefore, we have to do two things: purify our literalism and reflect on it analogically. So now we have another set of terms to understand the purpose of reality, purpose of human life. So far, we've been talking about the purpose is to move from ignorance to wisdom, or from belief to understanding, or from pathologos to logos, or from fourth hypothesis to third, or from the negative triad of the pathologos self state of mind and interpretation to the true threesome of self, mind, and understanding. But now we have another pair of terms to understand the two processes we're here to go through: literalism and analogy. Anywhere you are, understand your position, what hypothesis you're in, what oxiding picture you're in. By the way, you're only there because you're taking it literally. What happens if you take it literally? And what if I don't take it literally, but realize it's a reflection, shadow of the self as a message about the self, so long as I take it analogously? How can I analogously look at everything as a reflection of self? and a message about self. We saw in the ox herding pictures, if you do this, you stay stuck. If you do this, you move to the next one. But we're applying it to the hypotheses too. Every hypothesis has its literal, but also, if you take it literally, you get stuck. Giving us that spiritual joke, oh, imagine being stuck in wisdom. What a tragedy. Yes, because even wisdom, having 2 and 3, isn't the end. Don't take it literally. It's needed. You're not going to drop it. You're not going to forget the paradigm of mind or forget providential functioning through understanding. You're not going to throw it in the trash, but it's still not the self. It's an analogical reflection or expression of the self. So why not have self, mind, and understanding? All 3. Right?
My head is quite large and filled with secrets.
And now your head is large and filled with the best secrets. Anywhere you are, you can understand your position. By the way, we are making a new set of hypotheses based on what it's like to go through the ox herding picture, states of mind and logos of removal of interpretation. But we have these 5 of hypotheses, which are a fantastic, simple map. By the way, could you say that the definition or the highest experience of self is the second? Is it function, division through understanding? Sorry, demonstration? In other words, can you even see, I'm not going to do it now, but can you see these 1, 2, 3, 4 might reflect the dialectic categories? Oh! And the highest is its cause, transcendently. So the dialectic's existence is a message even about self. Therefore, is there an inherent dialectic, an inherent logos, an inherent ousia in a different way that we can recognize in the one self? In other words, can you take any moment, any experience, any thought, anything that you're in, any dimension, any reality, any reincarnation, and wonder about how it could be analogically applied to the self? What state of mind would that put you in? Oh, and can you also catch any problem you have and wonder, was I taking my position literally? Could that be why I got the problem, as a wake-up call to move from taking every moment literally to wondering about how it's an analogical reflection of the self? Is that how we solve the problems? Is that how we win the conflict against ignorance? Literalism to analogy about self? Well, we've reasoned it through words, and as the book says, you also have to not just reason through words, reason reflection, but confirm it in your experience. Therefore, that's your task. Carry it with you for a while. What position am I at? What am I taking literally? And how can I take this position as an analogical reflection to this of the self? So in any moment, literal, analogy. Or, well, you'd only look at the literal if you recognize you're in a problem. So, one method. Can you spend any moment looking at whatever it is you're thinking or doing or seeing or experiencing? Can you just take any moment analogically about the self? That would be confirming it in experience. That's how we demonstrate it's true. And by the way, that's something that you can only do yourself. We can help you, we can encourage you, we can say, you are great.
No, you're not the one that's mentally unwell. You're brave. You are crossing into new boundaries.
You're brave and crossing into new boundaries, and you are
Cool as a cuke.
cool as a kook.
Spit on me.
And Emma wants you to spit on her. That's a bit gross, Emma.
The more holes, the better.
Calm down.
First
Emma.
you're saying the F word or whatever you said. Now the tone is completely out of control.
Your tone is a bit out of control.
This is
Emma.
nasty ass pizza. People can change for the better.
Eat a nasty pizza. you don't change for the better by eating a nasty pizza. Maybe it's through this wondering about analogy. Enough sound drops. Have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.